Welcome back to The Explainer. Today, we're decoding the philosophical frameworks of nature and really figuring out our place within the whole thing. We're strictly focusing on what harmony in nature actually looks like and what it truly means to coexist. Okay, let's dive into this. Look around at our daily lives for a second. You know, the sprawling cities we build, the vast resources we're constantly consuming, just the fast-paced linearity of our daily routines. Now compare all of that to the quiet balance of an old-growth forest, or the deep, steady rhythms of the ocean. It brings up a rather provocative question, doesn't it? Are humans fundamentally out of sync with the universe? It's a heavy thought, for sure, but contrasting our modern actions with this universal balance is exactly the journey we're about to take today. To answer that big question, here's our roadmap. First, we'll look at the four orders of nature. Second, understanding harmony in nature. Third, the human disconnect. Fourth, the meaning of coexistence. And finally, number 5, returning to universal order.
Section 1. The Four Orders of Nature. Categorizing Existence.
So when we zoom out, we can see that nature isn't just this chaotic mess of random stuff. Our sources explain that all mutually interacting units in existence can actually be beautifully categorized into 4 distinct structured orders. We start right at the foundation with the material order. Things like soil, water, metals, where the basic activity is simply composition and decomposition, literally just atoms joining together and breaking apart. Next up is the pranic, or plant order, encompassing plants and trees, and this adds the activity of respiration to the mix. Then we step up to the animal order, bringing in complex bodily functions, plus a conscious selection in the self, or I. Finally, at the absolute peak of this complexity is the human order. This includes all those previous bodily functions, plus selection, thought, and desire in the I. You can really notice how the activities grow in complexity as we move up through the categories, right? Section 2. Understanding harmony in nature, dynamic balance. This brings us to a really foundational definition. Harmony in nature is the dynamic balance and self-regulation among all infinite, mutually interacting units in existence. So the absolutely crucial point here is that no outside force is meticulously organizing all of this. I mean, you don't have an external manager telling a forest exactly how to balance its soil-to-tree ratio. It is an intrinsic, self-regulating balance where literally everything naturally maintains its appropriate proportions. And this brilliantly illustrates the interconnectedness across these orders. It's fascinating. The material order provides vital nutrients, soil, and water to the pranic order. The plants then decay and enrich that soil, while also providing food and oxygen for the animal order. Animals, in turn, enrich the soil with their waste and help pollinate the plants. It's a seamless, cyclic process. The material, pranic, and animal orders naturally and continuously enrich and fulfill one another. It is essentially a perfect loop of self-regulation and interconnectedness. Section 3. The human disconnect. Lack of fulfillment. But when you contrast these systems, the tension becomes glaringly obvious. Think about natural self-regulation. Forests effortlessly conserve soil and maintain perfect plant ratios. Animal breeds naturally maintain balanced populations to ensure their continuity, and they do it without wiping out their habitats. But contrast that with human disruption. Instead of operating cyclically, our actions are entirely linear and frankly destructive. We're depleting non-renewable fossil fuels, polluting the soil and water, destroying multiple plant species, and acting with cruelty toward the animal order. We are actively disturbing the balance of the very systems that sustain us. Quite simply, we are the only order not mutually fulfilling the others. While we completely depend on the soil, the plants, and the animals, we just failed to reciprocate. According to the source material, our true natural characteristic, our innate svabhava, should be defined by perseverance, bravery, and generosity in the self. But right now, we're failing to align those noble characteristics with the rest of nature, and that's resulting in a deep, deep disconnect. Section 4. The meaning of coexistence, nature submerged in space. The source text gives us this incredibly powerful equation. Existence equals nature submerged in space. But what does that actually mean? Well, it means that existence isn't just a collection of random objects floating around. It's actually the fundamental relationship between active units, which make up nature, and the empty space they occupy. Now, what's really interesting about this concept is how we have existence mapped out as units on one side and space on the other. This directly contrasts the active, limited nature of units, which is everything from a tiny atom to the complex human body, against the all-pervasive, unlimited nature of space. Let's ground this abstract idea with a relatable metaphor. Think of a physical wooden chair sitting in an empty room. The chair is a unit. It's limited in size, bounded, active, energized, and self-organized. The chair constantly interacts with its environment, and eventually it'll decay. But the empty room around it, that's space. It's unlimited, all-pervasive, has zero activity, and possesses a constant equilibrium energy. It is the space that transparently allows the chair, the unit, to exist and interact in the first place. That fundamental state of active units existing within constant space is coexistence. We don't have to invent it. It literally already exists everywhere. Section 5. Returning to universal order, fixing the disconnect. So, the sources give us a clear progression to actually restore order. It starts with evaluating your own beliefs and assumptions. Are you operating from a belief that nature is just a resource to be exploited? From there, we absolutely must develop a right understanding of relationships. This requires moving away from mere animal consciousness, which is focused strictly on physical survival and physical facilities, and stepping up to true human consciousness by consciously seeking right understanding of our interconnectedness. Once we attain that understanding, the final step is to act to ensure mutual fulfillment and prosperity. Our work and behavior will then naturally complement the harmony of nature rather than destroy it. It all circles back to this profound truth. Peaceful, symbiotic coexistence is the key to harmony in the world. We have to remind ourselves that coexistence is not about achieving some sort of victory over nature through technological subjugation. It's about recognizing our innate, interdependent relationship with every single unit in existence and consciously fulfilling our role within that universal order. I'll leave you with this final provocative question. Our texts note that to fulfill our aspirations, we need both the practical techniques to make things happen and the moral wisdom to set the right goals. So how will you align your domain of skills with your domain of values to achieve true coexistence? It's up to each of us to reflect on how our everyday actions can support a harmonious, universal human order. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer.